Hey, it's Abby here. This week we're gonna be looking at eggplants. So we got a couple of varieties here right in front of me. These are all from our garden right outside. And we're gonna be making an eggplant curry that will also include some bamboo shoots, which are not from the garden, they're from a can. As well as some thyme, basil, some chives, onion, all of these aromatics that I'll talk about later. We'll kind of just mix it up, simmer it down, and it should be pretty tasty. Alrighty, so we're gonna prep the eggplant because they're a pretty watery vegetable. In order to make sure that they taste good in the curry, in order to make sure that they brown well and that they absorb all the curry flavor, you wanna salt your eggplant and let it drain a little bit to get some of that water out of there. So I'm going to try and do like a medium dice on these guys. Get them a good kind of like one bite size almost, because they're gonna be in the curry with a couple other veggies. Alright, so now we have the eggplant all nicely cut. And we transferred it to a little bit of a larger strainer here. I'm gonna go ahead and pour on some salt, and this will help the eggplant release the water that it has in there. So sometimes people complain eggplant parmesan and other eggplant dishes are spongy and kind of weird, and like just the texture isn't very good. A lot of people don't like eggplant because of the texture. And this is one of the very simple ways that you can get around that. If you pull out the water from the eggplant, it'll first of all taste better, but also second of all it won't be so rubbery. And then hopefully at the end of maybe 10-15 minutes, there'll be a little pool of water right in this baking dish from all the water that's been released. So the key to any curry is your curry paste. And that is something that you can either buy at the store pre-made. There are a lot of really good brands and really good kinds. We're going to be making a yellow curry today with the bamboo shoots and the eggplant, but there's also green curry, red curry. I think there's some that are called white curry that's mainly coconut milk and then a few aromatics. This one I believe is yellow because of probably the turmeric and the lemongrass. So today we're going to be working with the turmeric root right here, fresh ginger, galangal, which is a Thai kind of ginger, Thai variety of ginger, lemongrass, shallot, and red jalapeno. Alright, so now we're going to try making our own curry paste based on these ingredients that we have. What you want to do is either using a stone mortar and pestle is the best. You can probably use a food processor too. If you're using either, no matter which you're using, you want to start with the peppers first because the skin is harder to break down into a really good fine paste. So you'll want to grind the peppers with salt first, and then the fibrous roots, lemongrass, and then lastly the shallots, because these will be the softest things that you're adding. It'll be the easiest thing to break down in the mortar and pestle. So I'm going to just go ahead and prep all that stuff and kind of line them up on the cutting board, and then we'll just start adding them and grinding them and see where that gets us. Alright, so now everything is all mise en place, all set up and prepped. So we will start by chucking these guys in. salt. Get that little fiber out. And so maybe start with that much. The salt isn't, it will obviously add salty flavor to your curry paste. But it also helps to be abrasive against the skins of the peppers. It helps to break them down more quickly. Cool. So the next things I'm gonna add are gonna be the more woody fibrous roots. So the galangal and the lemongrass. Alrighty, so it's looking good here. Almost like a pasty salsa, kind of. You can see the individual little pieces, but it's also hard to really tell which is which. So I'm gonna go ahead and add our less fibrous root vegetables. So that'll be the ginger and the turmeric. This turmeric is just very orange, so it's been staining my fingers. And we'll give this a couple minutes of pounding and grinding away. And check back in. Great. So last thing to add is the shallots. Joel went ahead and cut a little more for me. So. Yeah. Alrighty. So before we did any of that prep over there, I just started a pot of rice. And it's done now, as you can see. We're using Japanese short grain brown rice, but you could basically use any rice you have on hand. Rice and curry go together really well, and if you don't have rice, you could just use any other kind of starch. Bread, you could do pasta, you could do potatoes. They're all very good. I like something to either put the curry on or dip into the curry, so whatever you prefer, you can. So as you can see, there's some moisture loss from the eggplant, which is what we wanted. Ideally, we would let these go probably even a little longer and get more of the water out of here. But no one has all day to wait for that, so we're gonna just start cooking them now. So this pan I'm going to turn onto a medium-high heat. And if I can, let's see. There we go. Medium-high heat. And I'm not gonna add any oil to it because I want the eggplant to try and get rid of as much water as possible. All right, here we go. We're gonna toss them in. Hopefully they sizzle. That's sizzling. And yeah, you wanna put them in a saucepan like this. I was originally gonna put it in something identical to this rice pot. But Joel made the good point that if the walls are too high, it'll be hard for all this moisture to easily escape. So it may just sort of condense back down onto the eggplant, and that's definitely not what we want. So if you have a pan that's a saucepan size like this with a pretty shallow wall, that's what you want to use. Try and get rid of as much of this moisture as you can.
So we decided to split the eggplant into 2 batches just because the crowding in the pan, that will also make the water will have a harder time escaping the eggplant. So we're going to do all the eggplant in 2 batches.
Alrighty, so Joel and I were talking and we figured for the sake of experimentation, we have those 2 different curry pastes, we have 2 cans of coconut milk, we've kind of batched the eggplant into 2. So we're going to put our homemade curry paste in one and then the store-bought curry paste in the other and kind of taste and compare and see which one we like better. So we'll check back in that in a minute. Alright, so as you can see, our eggplant is shrinking a little bit. It looks nice and dry, a little bit brown. You can see right there and right there. And this is exactly what you're looking for. Alright, so I got some canola oil heating up in the pan, heating up the pot. I just eyeball it enough to kind of lightly coat the bottom of the pot. There's a bit of water in this one, which is why it's kind of crackling like that. Alright, so then we're going to go ahead, add a little bit of shallot to either one. Add half an onion to either one. And then we drain the bamboo shoots into this little colander thing. So we're going to do about half. And then we'll add in our eggplant, and then the curry paste, and some coconut milk. Yeah. Alright, I'm gonna do this one for the next step, but this one is still not brown enough for my liking. I'm gonna go ahead and add the eggplant and chili paste to this one. This pot, again, so this is a perfect example of what we were talking about before. This pot, the high walls make it harder to brown things in it because the moisture kind of stays in the pot and doesn't go up and away. So it's not yet brown enough to my liking, so I'm gonna just keep cooking these without adding anything else to them yet. But in this one, we're gonna go ahead and add in the eggplant, half of it. About half, whoop. And then, our fabulous, oh, this is heavy, homemade chili paste. So, all of it?
Yeah,
Let's do all of it. I'm gonna let this kind of coat everything and then add in the coconut milk, and that'll kind of marry all the flavors together. Alright, in goes the coconut milk. Ooh, that handles that. Oh, and the eggplant. Can't forget the star of the show here. So this curry paste is less chunky than ours, as you can see. And so it really quickly is coating all the veggies. So I'm gonna just pour the coconut milk in now. So look at that. 2 curries, same veggies. Alrighty, so here we have a mix of our Thai basil from the garden and some chives. So these will be our garnishes for the curry. Yeah, so this is a pretty simple process, you know. The time-consuming part really is just letting the eggplant salt and drain. But as soon as you do that, you can basically throw it in any kind of sauce. Today we did the curry sauce, you could do a pasta sauce. It's pretty flexible and easy. Yeah, bon appetit.